Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and hit the bell icon. Kevin Costner's Horizon character should meet the same fate as Yellowstone's John Dutton, but his new Western saga can do it much better. Kevin Costner's time as Yellowstone patriarch John Dutton came to a swift and unexpected end when he failed to return for the series ending, and it's possible his most recent character will meet a similar fate in the Horizon, an American saga franchise. Costner famously left the hit Western show in order to pursue his epic four-part movie series, which assembled a staggeringly loaded cast in several stories that were intended to be woven together across the four movies. However, the first chapter of Horizon, an American saga, flopped at the box office, casting doubt on the series' future. Costner has a significant personal stake in the series, as he put forth more than $30 million of his own money to finance its production. In addition to writing and directing the entire Horizon series, he also stars as Hayes Ellison, the loner cowboy who finds himself entangled in someone else's story of vengeance. Despite his better judgment, he steps in to defend the innocent and is rewarded with a desperate flight across the Old West from a murderous family of outlaws. As a result, the reluctant hero could be headed for a similar fate to Costner's famous TV character. Given how sprawling the cast, the timeline, and the geographical space is that the Horizon saga will cover, it's inevitable that some of the major players will meet their end at the brutal hands of the Old West. While there were already several key deaths, including Jamie Campbell Bower's Caleb Sykes, who died at the hands of Kevin Costner's Hayes Ellison, there are undoubtedly more coming. Hayes Ellison makes a ton of sense to be one of the characters who meets the Reaper by the end of the four-part series due to his status as a reluctant protector. By the end of Horizon, an American saga, Chapter 1, Marigold abandoned Hayes and the baby in their care, Sam, proving no good deed goes unpunished. The Sykes family is still presumably after Hayes as the infant Sam, and it makes sense that the cowboy meets his end protecting either Sam, Lucy, or Marigold. It provides the opportunity for Costner's character to get a memorable Western movie death, which would not elevate the dramatic impact of the entire saga and give the Oscar winner a moment that he denied viewers by exiting Yellowstone. While there have been conflicting reports about whether Costner and Yellowstone's creator, Taylor Sheridan, intended the Western narrative to go 7 seasons, it all became moot when Costner abandoned the show halfway through season 5 to chase his passion project. As a result, Sheridan and the show's other writers were put in the unenviable position of having to kill off one of the most recognizable TV characters of the 2020s off-screen. While they did an admirable job given the circumstances, the closure to John Dutton's story was disappointing, which was expected with an off-screen death. The show was forced to wrap up all of its characters' storylines in just half a season, resulting in unsatisfying conclusions and major characters being underutilized. The ending to Horizon, an American saga, offers a half measure of redemption for Costner, as he has the opportunity to at least wow Western movie fans with the project he left Yellowstone for. A tragic and well-executed death for Hayes Ellison would at least be a modest step in the right direction towards making up for John Dutton's disappointing death. Unfortunately, audiences may never actually get the satisfying conclusion they're looking for with the Horizon saga. Together, the first 2 chapters of the series cost $100 million to produce, and the first chapter only generated a shockingly low $38 million at the box office. Costner's controversial decision to release both movies within the same summer was cast aside after the first chapter's disappointing debut, and while it did produce good streaming numbers once it landed on Netflix, it remains to be seen whether that additional audience helps the second chapter perform any better at the box office. As of now, the second chapter is planned for release at some point in 2025, although a specific date has not yet been announced. It technically debuted at the 81st Venice International Film Festival in September 2024, but lackluster reviews from that screening cast further doubt on the series' future. Costner will be hard-pressed to find enough financial backing to finish his four-part series unless the second movie in the horizon, an American Saga franchise, far exceeds its predecessor at the box office, and as a result, Hayes Ellison's story may meet a similarly unsatisfying end like Yellowstone's John Dutton. Kevin Costner's upcoming Western epic Horizon, an American Saga, promises a sweeping and ambitious tale of the Old West. But with the weight of Yellowstone's John Dutton looming over his career, Costner has an opportunity to deliver something even greater. The fate of John Dutton, a tragic, inevitable downfall, should serve as a template for Horizon, but this time, Costner can do it better. By embracing the raw, unforgiving nature of the frontier and crafting a send-off that feels organic, poetic, and earned, Horizon could deliver the ultimate Western conclusion that Yellowstone only teased. John Dutton's inevitable tragic end. Taylor Sheridan's Yellowstone set the stage for John Dutton's demise in multiple ways. The patriarch of the Dutton family was a man out of time, clinging to an empire built on blood, legacy, and a stubborn refusal to change. His fate was always written in the land he fought to protect. Whether through political battles, familial betrayals, or the relentless march of modernity, John Dutton's downfall was only a matter of time. Had Costner remained with Yellowstone for its final season, his exit would likely have been as grand as the man himself, perhaps a tragic standoff, a final ride into the wild, or an old warrior succumbing to time and enemies alike. Unfortunately, real-world tensions between Costner and Sheridan complicated his departure, leaving fans uncertain about the character's resolution. This is where Horizon comes in. Costner now has the chance to give his Western protagonist the kind of grand, poignant ending that John Dutton deserved. How Horizon can perfect the Western tragic hero arc. Costner has always understood the allure of the Western hero, the lone figure standing against an inevitable tide, whether it's manifest destiny, industrial progress, or his own mortality. Horizon spans 15 years of America's expansion westward, offering the perfect canvas for an intricate, slow-burning character study of a man shaped and ultimately undone by the wilderness. Where Yellowstone wrestled with themes of preservation and the conflict between old and new, Horizon can go further, examining the personal cost of survival in a lawless land. The protagonist should embody the classic Western tragedy, perhaps a leader, a visionary, or even a reluctant outlaw, whose downfall is not just a moment, but a culmination of choices, sacrifices, and unrelenting fate. A death that feels earned, not forced. The best Westerns deliver deaths that feel like poetry rather than obligation. John Dutton's departure from Yellowstone, if it even happens on screen, was always going to be dictated by the show's narrative constraints. But Horizon has a blank slate, allowing Costner to construct a farewell that carries real weight. Imagine a final stand against overwhelming odds, akin to The Wild Bunch or Tombstone, or a quiet, reflective end, perhaps an aging gunslinger watching the land he helped settle, knowing his time is over. Maybe it's a slow decline, mirroring Unforgiven's meditation on the cost of violence. Costner can craft a death that serves as a thesis statement for Horizon, a moment that encapsulates everything the film, or films, has built toward. Themes of legacy and the changing frontier. Both Yellowstone and Horizon tackle the idea of legacy, what one leaves behind in a world that refuses to stand still. John Dutton's tragedy was that he fought against progress, refusing to yield to the inevitable. In Horizon, Costner's character could explore a different kind of Western figure, one who recognizes change and chooses to meet his fate on his own terms. Maybe he's a former outlaw trying to build something permanent in a world that only knows how to tear things down. Maybe he's a lawman whose morality erodes with every passing year, until he can no longer recognize himself. Perhaps he's a settler whose dream of taming the frontier ultimately destroys him. No matter the path, the tragedy must be rooted in the world around him. Unlike John Dutton, who was a victim of personal and external forces, Horizon's protagonist should see his fate coming and embrace it. Cinematic potential, a true Western send-off. If Horizon is indeed Costner's magnum opus, it deserves a send-off that rivals the greatest Western conclusions in cinema history. The classic Western hero rarely rides into the sunset unscathed, whether it's Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid charging into legend, Shane fading into myth, or the assassination of Jesse James by the coward Robert Ford, deconstructing the cost of fame. Costner has an opportunity to add his name to the list of unforgettable Western farewells.